Welcome to SSI's Security Speaking podcast, brought to you by Security Sales and Integration. Each episode features thought leaders from throughout the professional security channel discussing technology, winning business practices, hot industry trends, and emerging opportunities. We appreciate your interest and encourage you to subscribe to Security Sales and Integration and its newsletters. Regularly visit securitysales.com for the latest news and follow SSI on social media. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I'm happy to be joined by Bill Bozeman, soon to be former CEO of PSA Security Network, and his successor, Matt Barnett. We're going to be chatting some about this big news for PSA and the leadership transition. Matt, of course, most recently served as an executive with HID Global's North American Business Unit. He was also president at Mercury Security, and before that, he served as president of AMAG Technology. Matt, I'd like to jump in right there, man. When the announcement landed, I immediately sent a message to my colleague, Scott Goldfein, with simply stating, didn't see that coming. You have immense experience from a manufacturer's perspective, and of course, dealing with integrators all the while in your career. Specifically, though, coming from the access control world, how does that relate to helping systems integrators, and what's your message to them?
Yeah, it's great to be here, first of all, Rodney, and thanks for taking the time right before the holidays. So exciting, and quite frankly, I've been a bit overwhelmed with all the response since the news went out yesterday. So it's an exciting time in the industry, and exciting for me in this role. But understand the question. I started in the business. Hard for me to say it, but it's been 30 years, and I started as a system integrator in Northern California. That was a PSA member. So it sounds kind of cheesy, but my first business trip as a quote unquote working adult was to PSA Tech. My first year of working for this security integrator. And so in some ways, this is going full circle. So while I worked in the system integration business for a number of years, I have primarily been on the manufacturer side. But I think people, assume that when you're on the manufacturer side, you're not really interacting with integrators, but in reality, that's 70-80% of your time is trying to build a channel and working with the channel and trying to help the channel sell your product. So you end up actually interfacing with integrators quite a bit in those roles. And so throughout my career, having that relationship with the system integrators has been very important, and I think has certainly helped because they can tell you things about your product that your engineers don't even know. So I always found it, we get the most, benefit and feedback when we're talking to the integrators that are using the product, installing the product, troubleshooting the product. And so I'm very comfortable in that environment. I'm not here to tell integrators how to do their job. I don't think that's the job of PSA. We're trying to provide the tools, if you will, to help them be more successful. So, taking over from what Bill has really implemented, the strategic initiatives, the strategy that he's laid out for PSA, and just continuing that on and make sure that we can continue to bring value and be relevant as this market changes. And we're all in a difficult situation with the pandemic, so we're just trying to get through this difficult time, right, and be in better shape when things finally start to open up in a larger way.
Yeah, great. Bill, can you describe the interest in this role with PSA? Were you getting were people just coming at you from all over the place throughout the ecosystem and channel as potential suitors for this position?
Yes, and of course, the process itself, Rodney, was very methodical and organized. So, and it was lengthy as well, as Matt will tell you, approximately 1 year. So it really was directed by our board of directors, which were elected by our equity partners. They participated. They put together a succession planning committee, which was led by one of our directors, Terry Reve. Prior to that, it was Kerry led that, who's now, of course, running the security group, the electronic security group at Allied Universal. But we also had a consultant, Kingsley Gate, who does a lot of work in physical security and cybersecurity, and our management team was involved. So that's an awful lot of people. So it was once again, Kingsley Gate directed the program because this is what they do for a living, and they ran through literally. The committee did not meet with 100 candidates, but Kingsley Gate actually had over 100 candidates for the position after the job description was agreed upon by the board of directors and senior management. So it's quite the process. And we narrowed it down to 20 and then to 10. And then everyone got very involved at that point when we were down to approximately 10 candidates. And then the final 3. And here we are with Matt, and just delighted. My personal thought is he'll be an excellent fit for many different reasons.
And your thoughts on, was it always going to be from somebody outside PSA? Did you also have interest from inside the organization?
Yeah, yes, of course. And we do have a great, Matt's fortunate and PSA's fortunate in that we have a really solid management team currently in place. But the CEO job is a unique bird. And it's a very unique bird. And, this was a decision by the board. And, but we did have some interest. And I believe that, there's a lot of growth potential for some of the employees in PSA. So that'll work its way out in the wash eventually.
Okay. Matt, can you give us maybe your top 3, I don't know if challenge is the right word, but as you set out on this new path for you personally, what are you looking at as far as what sort of mountains you need to climb first in making this transition?
Well, I think probably the biggest challenge, quite frankly, is going to be having to deal with Bill during this transition period. He's going to be helping for the foreseeable future. Which is great, for me, is I'm get a bit, knowledge dump of 20 years of Bill being at PSA, and I think really, going from, quite frankly, I think was, dire straits at one point in time, still there, to being a very strong financial position, and I think in a great reputation in North America as an Class A organization. So. I'm looking forward to getting that information relayed over the time. I think in the pandemic, and it seems like every day there's more difficult news coming at us, whether this thing is ending, even with we always told the vaccines were the nirvana. Now, it sounds like the vaccine is going to drag out for a long time, and whether or not it's going to be 100% effective and what have you. So. We need to keep our eye on the ball financially to make sure that, we're doing all the right things. Hopefully business is going to continue to grow. I think we've seen that happen, especially in the last 2 quarters. But, if anything goes off the rails here in 2021, we need to be able to respond to that. So, that's certainly probably the biggest challenge looking at us right now. And then with any change of this magnitude, it creates a bit of fear and uncertainty, not only with the employees, but with the members. So, need to help build those relationships that Bill has formed with the membership of PSA over the last 20 years. And, that doesn't happen overnight. And it makes it more difficult when you can't go out and shake hands and break bread together. So, it have to be a concerted effort to make sure that the membership feels as confident and has the trust in me that they've certainly had in Bill over the last 20 years. And then I think lastly, I think there's a great team at PSA. What I've found is this this current environment. Employees are deciding to change their lives. They're moving back home. They're moving out of state. People deciding to retire. So. I always look internal to our employees as being our greatest resource, and hopefully we can, continue to maintain a great staff and, fill any gaps that are created because of whatever changes. So, you just have to be aware that, people are as strange as it sounds, and having just moved myself, the movers are telling me there's more activity now than they've seen in a long time, because people wanting to get out of certain places, or financially they need to move back to be closer to family for one reason or another. And if we lose employees for one reason or another, we need to make sure that we've got the adequate coverage to do the job.
Excellent. I've actually seen you in action a little bit with integrators, attending a couple years ago, attending the Mercury Security Channel Partner event, Coronado Island, sitting amongst specifiers, integrators, other channel partners. You have a really great rapport with the channel. That was obvious. Bill made his mark evangelizing about some things that really took integrators out of their comfort zone: cybersecurity, AV integration, managed services, and really thrust the industry as a whole kind of forward. I can only imagine that rocked a few boats. Do you have a idea yet where you're going to be rocking boats and pushing comfort zones and trying to broaden the channel and specifically PSA members?
Well, I certainly agree with you. I think Bill was way out front on those three things specifically, and unfortunately, I still think we have a long way to go. Right, so hosted and managed services are still in their early days, and even though Bill has been pushing that agenda for over 10 years now, I think as far as it becoming, even 50% of what the integration channel is doing would be a stretch. I would venture to guess it's still just barely double digits as far as the amount of business the traditional system integrators are doing when it comes to hosted and managed services. So I still think there's a lot that, beating the drum, so to speak, is not going to stop on that anytime soon. And as this latest, news cycle is telling us about the hack with companies and governments, certainly in the U.S., they're not really talking about it globally, but it's happened all over the world. It just again shows the forethought in what Bill and the cybersecurity initiative that PSA has been promoting. And I still think we're, again, very early days in what this industry needs to do on the cyber side of the business. And then what comes next? Bill and I've talked about AI and what type of impact that's going to have. We need to keep a close eye on that and how we can leverage AI technology in the security industry. But certainly, it's going to be a big benefit in products that are out there today, providing better reporting, better intelligence, more predictive analysis, and so making sure that our integrators are prepared for that and can consume those types of products, I think is going to be very important. So while we can't force them to do anything, we can certainly encourage them to take a look and make sure that they're aware and help promote where we think things are going to go.
Bill, I'm certain this was obviously part of your conversation in the interviewing process with not just Matt, but others. What do you see as, kind of immediate challenges right now? Maybe you can give us, 5 to 10 year perspective on PSA's challenges and growing as an organization, but, just the integration channel overall.
Well, I think the integration channel overall is healthy. If you take a look at COVID, in the two divisions we have, electronic security and pro AV, the electronic security division has done a little bit better. It's simply because it's considered to be an essential service. I mean, security today is not a luxury. It's an essential service that every commercial facility, every government facility needs, and in many cases requires. So I think it's really good. I think, we're all about the integrator. Matt knows that. That's one of the reasons he was our candidate. We're all about the integrator. Integrators own PSA, for God's sakes. So we have to do what's right for them. So I do occasionally run up against challenges for the integrator. And I feel that PSA is a spokesperson for the integrator. So you see some new manufacturers in particular, Rodney, trying to, I won't mention any names, that won't get us anywhere, but trying to sell the product directly, or just as bad, maybe worse, trying to sell the product directly and simply using the integrator as a deploying agent, where let's just say if it's a managed service where the manufacturer keeps the recurring revenue stream and maybe gives a pittance to the integrator. And certainly we're against this type of business arrangement, and we really don't want any new vendors that have that business arrangement. Yet, once again, not to get too philosophical here, some of the high-tech new companies don't actually have anyone with any physical security background or knowledge of the channel. And I think that's very dangerous. I could name names and I won't. They just think they can load up the market with salespeople and figure out somehow, some way to deploy these products that will make the end user satisfied. And Rodney, it's not going to work. And regardless of how sophisticated and intelligent the products get, they are not plug and play. And the integrator, as far as I'm concerned, for the foreseeable future, has a very solid spot, especially in traditional systems integration, access control, video surveillance, IP addressable, intercom security, intercom, and then all the peripherals. The big one, the big outstanding one, will be cybersecurity, and how does the physical security integrator fit there? That is yet to be determined. So that'll be fun watching that from a distance.
And you can obviously consider that essential, that they carve out more than a niche or just a foot in the door in that regard?
As far as managed services, or specifically cybersecurity?
Cybersecurity.
Well, I think, first of all, we're working with SIA and security specifiers on a certification for technicians. I believe that's right around the corner. We're excited about that. It's been a lot of work. Both those organizations have been great to work with. And I foresee that the security specifiers will be writing into the specification for quite a few projects that this certification or a certification of some type relative and specific to cybersecurity, you're going to have to, in order to get on the playing field, in order to be able to bid the projects, you'll need to have this. So it's a big deal. Now, whether the integrator will be required to deploy specific cybersecurity services, that is what I was referring to. That's another level. And what we're recommending is that they do not go there, but we are recommending that they partner with a vetted cybersecurity partner. There's a lot of upside there. I mean, at the very least, our industry can't be deploying products into the field, that have malware and create other back doors. I mean, we just can't do that. We have to accept responsibility for that, the vendors and the integrators.
Excellent. So Matt, this is going to be a focus of yours. What cybersecurity in your background, working with access control, I presume, and you feel prepared to take this baton and go forward?
Well, I do have a little bit of a background, but certainly I'm not a gearhead anymore like I used to be. And I think what I've recognized is that you need to have the people with the right expertise. So I've been involved with the access control products that I've represented, and I've been a big fan of providing, making sure that they're cyber secure. So sending them out to third-party penetration testing, and it's fairly expensive to have that done, but I think it's a necessary evil. But also providing cyber hardening guides, which were fairly new to this industry like 5 years ago. You would have a hard time getting a hardening guide from a manufacturer other than a select few. And now I would hope that most of them have that, because again, as Bill said, as much as you can build a product to be cyber secure, it has to be installed in a secure way, right? Including things like changing, the default password, and having the proper setup of the products on the network and what have you. So these things come with a lot of bells and whistles now, which didn't exist 10, 15, 20 years ago. I think the message is that the integrators and even the vendors need to step up and make sure that they're doing the right thing there. So having a certification for the installers, I think, is important, but also having the products properly vetted to make sure that we're not promoting products that potentially have some significant cyber problems with them. I think could be, devastating to our business. So, while I have a base level understanding, I certainly know my weaknesses in not getting into the ones and zeros of it, but making sure that we are aligned with the partners and bring in the proper expertise as needed.
Absolutely, absolutely. Guys, as we wrap up our chat here, Bill, I can't let you get away without giving us an idea on, what have you sketched out for your next chapter?
Well, I'll be hanging around, Rodney, in different ways. It's what a great run it's been. The PSA run goes back over 30 years because 10 years I was an integrator, and 20 years that. So that's, really need to thank everybody involved in the organization. But no, I'll be still involved. I've got my fingers in several deals right now. I'm sure I'll be working with some of the private equity groups. I have a partner in Texas. We're doing some things. We will be doing some things. He already is. I'm not just yet. With a think tank at Texas A&M. I'm working with another group out of Houston. So it'll be fun, but just different. And my closing statements will be, this is why I can work 20 hours a week, and Matt can now take over the role of 70 to 80 hours a week.
Sounds like a vacation to me.
That's right.
Well played, Mr. Barnett.
Yeah.
You guys, thank you so much for jumping on the phone with me here, our little video podcast. Matt, best of luck. I look forward to staying in close touch and watching you take the organization to new heights. Bill, it's always been such a pleasure working with you and seeing you at industry events, man. Look forward to staying in touch as well.
You bet.
Good luck.
Thanks, Rodney.
Good luck in the new year, guys.
Yes, be well. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much.